I hadn't had a chance to get down here to this spot for a while. Conditions have been tough, man. It's been cold. It's just been bitterly cold and windy, really unfit for fishing. Today's pretty windy, but it warmed up into the 40s a little bit. So this is my first opportunity to fish, so let's see if we can get down here. The water looks pretty good. It's up a little higher than I thought it would be, but we're gonna get down here and see if we can get one. If I can get down here. I'm getting tangled up with all this stuff. So we got nobody out here today. I'd say there's probably been a few people out here. I'm gonna have to take this boot off. Every time I come off of that bank right there, you slide off, it slides mud off down into that boot. I can feel it right there. But I gotta get these rocks and mud out of this boot. This ain't gonna work right here. What I'm gonna start off with here is the usual. I got a little curly tail on here, a little mud on it, kind of a little pinkish head. Put a little edge on that hook today, sharpened it up a little bit. So we got this big wonky float here, weighted, so we can fling it way out there to them stumps. Way out there somewhere, there's some stumps that we can barely get to. About 7 feet underneath that float with 4-pound test. Got 8-pound test as a main line, so we just come up with a swivel up there above the float and a swivel below it to tie our leader onto. That way we don't have to clamp that float onto the line, which is always hard on the line. It's just a more durable way of doing it. As you see, I've got those swivels on there, 4-pound below, 8-pound above for durability, and then 4-pound so that the jig will go through the water with a little bit more of a natural looking deal right there. Alright, see how this is going to work out here. Okay, we're going to fling this thing out here as far as we can. We got the wind blowing back out of the cove today. Looks like we got quite a few bait fish back in the cove today. I see a little activity. We got no real fishermen out here today, no boats. So that's kind of a bad sign. Usually this time of year, if the crappie are back in these coves, back in these creeks as they call them, you'll have the boats back in here will be chasing them down a little bit. But this weather's been so tough here so far this month. The last 3 or 4 weeks really, it's been kind of prime crappie time, but the weather's been so cold and windy. Oh my gosh, the wind we've had has been just absolutely crazy. Now today the wind has let up quite a bit, and standing in this sun it feels pretty good. So of course we're bundled up pretty good right here, but the water really to me sort of looks like it's still got a bit of a stain to it. Almost like it never has really cleared up from this hurricane maybe, which would be kind of weird to think that way. But let's see, there should be some fish out here. The moon's just got up above that horizon a couple of hours ago, so the moon's going to be pretty good this week, coming up all this week, the next week or two. Well, the next 5 or 6 days, it should be leading up into a pretty good pattern for the moon. But I'm just anxious to see if the crappie are going to get back in here this year. I'm going to be able to get on them. And we're already up in December, and I tell you what, usually by now I'd get on them pretty good around Thanksgiving, but this year it just wasn't in the cards, nothing coming together right to get out here. I'm sure I could have caught a few, but with the wind and cold weather, it's tough on the old body to get out here in these weather conditions. Like I said, today the wind let down a little bit, and that sun's good and strong. and the moon's kind of somewhat in a good spot. So I had a feeling we might be able to catch something today. Just gonna have to keep working this bank right here and see if I can hit that magic spot out there. Well, we got one right here. Hope it's a keeper. Oh, he kept working them back here a little bit. Finally got on one right here. Feels like a good one. Actually, I go easy with him in case it is a good one. Yeah, that's a decent one, yeah. It's probably a keeper. That's a decent size right there. Yeah, it's a decent one. Ain't a monster, but hey, it's big enough to keep. I don't think I brought my measuring stick with me though. Crazy camera over here. We're gonna get him on a thumbnail right there, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna turn him loose and see if we can get it on. I'm not gonna fool with keeping them today. Alright, little buddy. There he goes. There he goes deep. We'll use this thing back. It's the same old routine, just flinging it out there as far as I can. Now that guy in that boat moving away, but he caught 3 or 4 little ones, look like, maybe a keeper or 2 off of this one little spot. I've seen boats pull up to it before. It's a little stump out there, but sometimes when those boats pull up like that, it kind of pushes the crappie back in closer to the bank, I believe. I don't know, but you'd think, well, all the boats out here kind of mess it up, but they really don't. I mean, that's just the only boat I've seen out here, so it's not like he's putting that much pressure on them. And if they get a little spooky where he comes in there, they just move off of that little piece of cover a little bit. They might even move in here closer to bank to something a little closer to me. But that one I caught was the first bite I've had, and I'm a little surprised. I figured today would be a decent day. Honestly, it should be. Conditions should be about right to catch a crappie or 2 or 3. You gotta keep working it here. Sometimes they'll move back into this area a little before dark. We got a couple hours of light left here. I just don't think there's that many crappie back in here right now for some reason. Then again, they could just be in there kind of hunkering down, laying a little bit low, I don't know. Scattered about a little bit. But after this cold weather we've had though, it's definitely cooled that water off. There ain't no doubt about that. Now that one I caught, he wasn't all that far out. It wasn't like he was way, way out there. He was relatively close in. Now this time of year, the crappie do tend to get back up here against the bank a little bit closer. This water warms up a little bit and there'll be a lot of little bait fish, minnows, and various things in here for them to eat. They like to get in here and hang out. There's some cover, structure out there, I guess you'd say. Cover. We'll just bring these little jigs back real slow, whether you're in a boat or on a bank. Easier in a boat, I guess, but we'll ease back really slow right here. We got one, we got one. Should be number 2 here. He don't feel all that big. So we'll find out right here in a second. But at least we know there's a few crappie out here. I don't think they're stacked up out here. Well, yeah, he's just a little one. Ain't no size to this little booger. Camera, I got this jacket on here and I know it's rubbing up against that camera, making a lot of noise, but not much we can do about it. So hey, a few little ones out there, little white crappie. Hey, you little buddy, head on back out there. in that cold water, boy. It's chilly out there. So you can see that little white curly tail. It's got a good action. You see, going slow. See that little action when it's almost at a crawl. It'll still got some action to it there. That's kind of what I like, is to bring it back real slow. Let that curly tail fall down in front of them with that little bit of action right there. Either just bring it back really slow, steady retrieve, or kind of bring it back and let it fall a little bit. Bring it back and let it fall. Alright, well, we'll try out GoPro number 2 here. Batteries on the other GoPro number 8 went down, and the batteries are not compatible between the 10 and the 8. So, the 8 does not like cold weather. That battery in the 8 hates cold weather. And I've only got one battery left. The rest of them died, fell apart. There's terrible things happened to the GoPro batteries on the 8, but I still got one for it, but it died quickly today. So here's our third little crappie right here. Alright, so they're moving in a little bit. We caught one that was a keeper, and now we got this little one right here. Third little one, so we're going to get him turned loose. Oh, there you go, little buddy. See you on the next one. So that's good. The way I was doing this, I'm going to move back up here where I was at. Had to come back down here to redo this camera. Let me tighten this down here a little bit. Kind of standing up right in through here, I think it was. Kind of parallel in the bank, back this direction, coming back against the wind instead of with it. Seemed to, I don't know why, but I caught two in a row right there, 2 small ones. So, see if we can get a big one this time. Throw it out there, and that wind's catching it and carrying it way out there, but the ones I'm catching are not that far out right now. Although there are some stumps right out there, and so I have caught them out that far before. And I do have an extra battery for this GoPro Hero 10, so if it goes down, we're in good shape with it. It's just a little bit heavier than the 8 on this chest mount. It's a little more weight, so I like to use that Hero 8 on the chest mount. But in this weather, with that one battery on its way out, it does alright in warm weather, but I probably didn't get 15 minutes of recording time out of it here today. Alright, we're going to try something a little different here. This is a little yum curly tail, kind of called a Christmas tree color. I've tried it before and not had much luck. I want to like it there, and have just wanted to try it today while I know there's a few fish out there, and see if they'll react to it. It's probably a little more obscure coming through the water than that white curly tail, so it might get their attention there. I mean, it may not be too obvious to them. You know, they might be getting tired of seeing that white a little bit. Thinking something a little more obscure coming through there might trigger a bite, you know, just something not as obvious. So we're going to try it, but it's kind of appropriate this time of year. Here we are in December 2024. Trying this little yum curly tail, 2-inch Christmas tree color. Trying to get a little bit of Christmas action going on these crappie here. Ho, ho, ho. We got about, I don't know, about 30, 40 more minutes of light left there. And that sun's going to drop back down below that horizon here pretty quick. And when it does, it's going to get cold in a hurry, and I'm going to be ready to get out of here. As soon as we lose that sun, I'm out of here. We got another little crappie. So we did get him to hit this little Christmas tree colored curly tail, which that's what I wanted to do, accomplish, was just see if these little ones would hit this little Christmas tree color, curly tail, and they did. It's got a little chartreuse head, kind of translucent, kind of a slightly motor oil color, with a little greenish sparkle. I don't know if you can see that sparkle in that sunlight right there. But that is the first one I've caught on that little jig. That's a good sign though. I'd like to catch me a big slab on it if I could. I'm gonna keep trying right here. One or two more casts here, I guess. Call it a day. I did catch one keeper and 3 little ones. Probably would have a better chance on that little white curly tail right now, but I think I'll just finish up with this Christmas tree color here on these last few casts.